At the beginning of last year, around about the time I started this channel, I set myself two targets. The first was to achieve net zero energy usage, and by this I mean to import less than what I export in order to cover my own household usage, which includes heating, hot water, cooking, electric vehicle charging, and all other usage. The second was to achieve a negative energy bill for the whole year. Smart tariffs present an opportunity to purchase energy at specific times at a cheaper rate and then export at perhaps a higher one. In theory, if the net zero usage is achievable, this should take care of itself if managed correctly. While as individuals we don't have the power to change government policy, I believe if we all do what we can make a difference. I'm a father of two very young children, and I want to set an example for them to be proud of, and hope they share these values going forward. Being able to achieve a truly net zero household would give us strong energy independence in addition, and it protects us from bill hikes, something we've seen all too much of recently. Back in July, I published the progress on achieving these goals in this video. If you want greater context behind this journey and where I left things at the halfway point, be sure to give it a watch. The short version is, at the midpoint we had a solar offset of 88.7%, so not too far off. We had some amazing sunshine in spring and early summer which really helped us out, but the gas usage in the first couple of months was hefty, putting us initially on the back foot. My projections for the year had me narrowly missing out on that net zero energy usage objective. It was, however, better news for the second objective. At the midpoint we had a net credit of just over £185. In this video I will walk you through what changes I made this year, what effect they all had, and the end result of those objectives. I'm Renewable Energy Steve, and this is my story of 2025. Here are the key things that have changed in 2025. In March, the existing gas boiler was replaced with a brand new Cozy 6 heat pump from Octopus. They also removed the gas meter entirely at that point. At the start of May, I had an additional solar array installed on the garage and the north-facing side of the house. It's not the optimum in terms of orientation or height, but a sizable addition which maximised all the remaining roof space. Finally, in October, I changed my tariff from Octopus Go to Octopus Intelligent Go. It's minor compared to the first 2 points, but it does have some financial connotations which are well worth exploring. Let's start with the Cozy 6 heat pump. When I purchased it, I had a cautious expectation of a seasonal coefficient of performance in the region somewhere between 3 and 3.5. Thankfully, with a mild early winter, the coefficient of performance since install until December stood at 3.65. The amount of electricity used for that close to 10-month time frame was 1,526 kilowatt hours. You'll see the monthly breakdown on the right in purple. The heat output in that time frame was 5,573 kilowatt hours, shown in green. But it's important to look at the total usage for heating and hot water. Of course, we started the year with a gas boiler. From January the 1st to March the 3rd, when it was decommissioned, we used 2,888 kilowatt hours worth of gas, making the total energy used for heating and hot water for the whole year, with both sources taken into account, 4,414 kilowatt hours. We'll see later how that stacks up versus all other usage, but for now let's move on to my new solar array. I'm a bit greedy when it comes to solar. I believe you can never have too much of it, and this new array was in addition to the existing 5.16 and 4.4 kilowatt peak setup already present. This one consisted of 4 south-facing panels on the garage, 4 north-facing panels on the garage, and 2 north-facing on the house. It was activated on May the 1st with the primary function of bolstering generation to power the heat pump. This now means I have a grand total of 32 solar panels on my property, or 14 kilowatts peak. We now have 8 months worth of data for that expansion, and I'm happy to say the results have been exceptionally strong. In addition to the installer targets, for my own peace of mind, I get independent targets from a database called PV Watts. Those targets are shown in yellow, and the green line is the values actually achieved by my system. In every one of the 8 months, they surpassed their expectations, especially in early summer. The results were so strong that despite being active for only 8 of the 12 months in the year, they achieved 90% of their annual expected generation at 2,546. A success, it's fair to say. For context, let's have a look at how all the elements of my solar PV fared. The south-facing 5.16 12-panel array produced 5,800 kilowatt hours exactly. The east and west 4.4 kilowatt 10-panel array produced 3,366 kilowatt hours. And this new garage and north-facing array added a total of 2,546 kilowatt hours. That's around 22% of total generation. So what about this tariff change? I wanted to highlight how smart tariffs can have a major impact on bills. In October, I shifted from Octopus Go to Octopus Intelligent Go. There are three key differences. The first, with Intelligent, Octopus schedule your charging cycles on your behalf. You have some control, but ultimately you have to trust it's going to do its thing in a way that doesn't leave you short. So there's a risk there. The second difference is you get an extra hour of off-peak time frame. That's crucial in the winter. The third, and most relevant, is the off-peak rate is reduced from 8.5 pence per kilowatt hour to 7 pence. In this previous video, I talked more in depth about the reasons behind the change and the differences between the two tariffs, as well as perhaps some of the things that can get misconstrued. But the key takeaway is in the winter, even someone like me with many solar panels will be increasingly reliant on import over the winter, so maximising the proportion of off-peak import is the name of the game, alongside getting the best off-peak rate. So here's how it worked out. In October we imported 395 units, 708 in November and 967 in December. As such, when you calculate the difference between the rates, it works out to a saving of just over £31 in 3 months alone from a simple tariff switch, which didn't cost a thing. So how did we do versus our objectives? Let's start with the net zero energy usage one, beginning with analysing all of our usage. Firstly, we have that 2,888 kilowatt hours of gas used prior to the heat pump install. This should be our last ever gas bill, I'm happy to say, as we already have electric induction hobs for cooking. The car charging made up 4,167 kilowatt hours, which is 34% of our total usage. This is around 15,000 miles spread across 2 cars, a Tesla Model 3 and a Kia e-Niro. The driven consumption itself is actually pretty close to 4 miles per kilowatt hour, but there are also losses in the charging process. Particularly with the Tesla as well, there can be some battery reductions when left for long periods of time, so I'm taking that into account. From the heat pump we used 1,526 kilowatt hours, covering all the household heating and hot water requirements from March to the end of December. That's just 12% of total usage. Next, there is general household usage, which covers all of the cooking, lighting, clothes washing and things like that. We have 2 young children, so we get through plenty of washing cycles, I'm sorry to say. Finally, storage losses. For this I've included the difference between the amount charged and the amount discharged, in addition to the difference between the amount of solar power produced versus that registered by the Powerwall. This gives us a total amount of 719 for the year, which constitutes 6% of our total. Conversion and storage losses are an accepted part of annual usage, but I don't think 6% is too bad at all. Sadly, however, that happens to be roughly the difference between our usage versus our generation. In 2025, we used a grand total of 12,309 kilowatt hours, and we generated 11,712. This gives us a total solar offset of 95.1% in the year of 2025. But remember, this is all our usage, our travel, heating the home, cooking, and everything else. I hate to use the word failed, because we came so close. We were so close to achieving it, in fact, that either of these things could have made the difference. If the gas boiler was replaced by the heat pump just 6 weeks earlier, that would have been enough. That gas usage in the first 2 months really cost us. Or, alternatively, if the new solar array was fitted just 5 weeks earlier, that also would have been enough for success. Looking forward, I'm confident we have all the ingredients in place to achieve it in 2026, but that's not without risks. We could have a colder winter. 2025, in my view, has been relatively mild. I'm expecting even higher vehicle mileage too, as I'm going to be working more days in the office, which is a 30-mile commute. It's also likely we'll have less sunshine, as 2025 was an exceptional year for solar. Can 2026 repeat that? If you have been enjoying this analysis so far, please give me a like. It really helps promote this video to wider audiences. So let's continue on to that second goal. Did I achieve a negative energy bill for the whole year? Let's step through every month's electricity usage, starting with January. We have import costs, including the standing charges on the left, and export credit on the right. Unsurprisingly, in January, the import exceeds the export, creating a net cost of £49.94. It's a similar story in February, with it being one of the few months where solar generation disappointed. Ultimately, that resulted in a net cost of £31.79. March was the first month we saw a negative cost, thanks to an incredibly strong month for solar. That's £27.15 for the month of March. This was followed up by another really strong month for solar in April, with over £137 credited for export. The end result being a net credit of £79.17. In May, we started to see some really large numbers, over 201 from export, and a net negative bill of £162.17. In June, we hit a peak, over £225 from export and a net credit of £189.30. July continued strongly with a net credit of £147.71. August gave us yet another strong month of export at just over £178, making a net credit of £127.19. September still had a decent export at £119 worth, but the import shows a slightly higher number here initially due to the free electricity sessions. So a further £17.32 was credited in addition to the amount shown, making the result a credit of £74.23. October unfortunately saw the end of our negative bills, with £19.42 being the total cost, after taking the £20.22 of free electricity sessions into account. By November, the free electricity sessions had finished. As such, the total cost for the month was £38.14. December, the final month of the year, proved to be high on usage, and it was difficult to export any meaningful quantities, giving us our highest bill of the year at £72.60. All that means, in terms of electricity, we were billed a total of £882 exactly for the year, and we were also credited £1,286.26. We had a monthly cost of under zero for 7 of the 12 months of the year. We did, of course, have nearly £191 worth of gas usage we need to include from the opening few months prior to the heat pump install. Including that, our net cost was a credit of £404.26. Excluding that and looking exclusively at electricity, it would have been a credit of £595.03. In terms of cost, even with our gas usage, we broke even at the end of May/early June time. Let's examine the impact of solar, that being 32 panels, the battery, that's 27 kilowatt hours of storage, and the smart tariffs, in this case Octopus Go and Intelligent Go. Our net annual usage came out at £404.26 in credit, a great success as far as that particular objective was concerned, but there are some truly scary numbers to consider. If we exclude the solar generation and consider what the cost would be had we been on a price cap tariff, we're looking at approximately £2,836. That would be our bill. That means we saved a total of £3,240 in 2025 as a result of solar, battery, and a smart tariff. I don't like to extrapolate too far forward, as tariff rates are notoriously changing, and this was a standout year for solar, but it's fair to say these elements are working together exceptionally well. So what conclusions can we draw? We narrowly missed out on net zero energy usage itself by a slim margin, but achieving a bill under £0 was not too challenging in 2025 with enough solar installed. Over the course of the year, more than 99% of imported energy was at an off-peak rate, and that's vital to achieving the best financial return. With export being paid at a higher rate than import, providing it's done at the right times, there's always the potential, despite the standing charge, for a return, but that may not be the case forever. I look forward to whatever 2026 brings. What do you think my objectives should be? Let me know in the comments. Or if you are on a similar journey yourself, I would love to hear your story. Don't be afraid to reach out. Subscribe for more solar and renewable energy updates. And thank you very much for watching. All the best, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.